Hi, Blake with Boulevard Home. Today, we're going to talk about washers and why my wash machine not cleaning the way it should be. Why are my whites as white? The fact of the matter is, with front load machines and also the newer top load machines that don't use a lot of water, they don't get as white because the way your clothes get white is basically having lots of water and lots of fluid be able to move through these white clothes to be able to get the dirt and the stuff out of your clothes. Well, because the new machines are low water usage, we don't have that. That creates a problem with white clothes. So there are certain things that we can do with white clothes. One is if your wash machine has a steam cycle to it. If you use the steam function, if your wash machine has it for all of your cycles that are white, it does improve the whiteness of it over time. So this is what I always recommend to all of my guests. I say, look, take like a white hand cloth or something that's white, set it aside, wash your whites for the next month using the steam cycle every time you use it, and then compare them. 99.9% of the time, they are whiter. With a top load machine, when you do that, they don't have a steam cycle. So what I recommend for something such as that for the whites, this kind of goes with the colors in the top load cycle too. So we're gonna talk about both of them, kind of combine them here just a little bit, but this is specifically about top load stuff. Now, the normal cycle, as we've talked about in previous videos, is the eco cycle. It's gonna fill up with the coolest amount of water possible and the least amount of water possible in any top load machine. If you'd like more water in the machine, what you need to do is select another cycle besides the normal cycle and select the deep fill if you have that option. When it fills up with water, you're going to get a lot more water flow through them. You're going to get a lot more cleanability because with that machine, we're looking for all that fluid to be able to turn the clothes over. The more times we can turn the clothes over, the cleaner the clothes get. If we're taking this much clothes and this much water and you're trying to move those around, they won't tumble very well. So they won't get very clean compared to having this much water and this much clothes because they have more ability to move around and get clean. Select those cycles, fills up more water, use the proper amount of soap, and then your clothes will get whiter and cleaner in the top load machines. Loading up a top load machine, you have two different types of agitators in there. One, you have a full-size agitator that sticks up, and number two, you have what's called a wash plate. You look way down in this deep dark tunnel at the very bottom, you see nothing. There's just a plate down there at the bottom. What you want to do with a wash plate, with a normal cycle, people always take their clothes and they layer them. They grab their clothes and they kind of layer them around and kind of make this nice little pattern around with your clothes. That's okay for an agitator machine with a full-size agitator because it will kind of stir those up. But for one with a wash plate, you don't want to do that because this will affect your cleanability. If you do that with a wash plate, because the purpose of a wash plate is basically it takes your clothes and it rubs them together, and then what it does, it twists the clothes up basically into a big knot. So you reach in, you pull out your sheets, you can find out it's braided like a big ship's rope. And you're saying, well, how does it get clean? Well, it didn't because it's all wrapped up real tight. So what you want to do with the clothes with that type of system is basically grab your clothes, wad them up in a ball. So basically you just make little balls and you drop those balls all around the outside of the drum. So that way, when it starts to rubbing each other and twist, they're not going to twist into themselves. Basically, they're going to stay in a ball and kind of move as a ball. And that way, that will also improve how the washability works on any top load machine. Also, it's a good idea to clean the machines like you should. We've done another video on cleaning your washers. That's something you should be doing. Do the maintenance on them. You know, you don't get all that stuff that's built up between the drums coming up and getting on your clothes. And they smell cleaner. It does a better job. Also, if you have a machine that has access to the clean out, good idea to use that clean out every now and then. Make sure all the muck and the junk is out of there. Top load machines don't have it. With the top load machines, just make sure you use bleach every now and then to basically help get that stuff out there and also do the cleanings. If you don't clean your machine very often, what will happen is you'll get a bunch of odors inside your machine, as you all well know. But it's even worse if you leave your clothes in there that's wet. So say you're running your machine, you leave for a while and you leave it in there and you say, oh, or you forget about it the night before, and the next morning you grab those clothes and throw them in the dryer. So you're gonna get smells from basically your clothes sitting in that machine, getting moldy and wet. If the machine's not cleaned out, it's gonna even enhance it even more because you're gonna get the odors from the machine itself, plus your clothes that are sitting there on top of each other. You know, go to any teenager's room and lift up a pile of clothes and you know exactly what I'm talking about. This is just condensed in a washing machine. Just make sure that when the clothes are done, make sure you do take, as soon as you possibly can, transfer those clothes from the washer into the dryer and dry these clothes. And that will also help with the odors that are produced from your clothing. Another thing that can affect the ability for your clothes to get clean is the soap and the type of soap. Now, we've covered soaps before, but there are better soaps on the market. If you buy, really inexpensive soaps, Well, a lot of these soaps are just fillers or a lot of water, depending on if it's a powder or a liquid. So I always recommend, just as always, buy a good soap. Tide doesn't give me anything for this, but I prefer Tide. That's what I use. I use Tide for my own personal clothing. I have two different types of Tide. I have a liquid and a powder. I use the powder on my greasy, grimy, grassy stuff because it does a better job, but is it harder on your clothing? Yes, it is. I use my liquids on my nice clothing because it does a great job and it's a lot more gentle on your clothing, and it's more for your common, skin oil, stuff like that, just run around the house. So that's one thing that, you may want to be conscious of when you're also looking at this, is making sure you have a good detergent, and that will also help with the overall cleanability with the product. I hope this video has been helpful and informative with the cleanability of your machines. If you have any questions, please put it below and be happy to answer them for you. So with that, when you have these clothes and you put them in your machine, so when you have this soap, so when you have I was doing so well, now I'm really messing it up.